Okay, let's just dive right in. Forget the usual debates for a moment, the back and forth that we always hear, because
Yeah.
the material we're digging into today, it makes this incredibly bold claim. It basically says, Steph Curry proves why he is the Jewett.
Yeah, it's a statement designed to make you stop and think.
Yeah.
Not one of the greatest, the
Yes.
greatest.
Above Jordan, above LeBron, all of them. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We're unpacking that specific argument from our source material.
We want to understand the reasoning, the evidence they present for this pretty provocative stance.
Yeah, exploring why they make this case so strongly. It's not about us agreeing right now, but understanding their perspective.
And they kick it off with a specific moment they claim. Well, basically broke the NBA.
Okay, yeah, this is fascinating. The source points to February 27, 2016, Warriors versus Thunder.
I remember that game.
Game's tied, 118 all, like 6 seconds left, and Curry just pulls up, way out, logo range.
Swish. Game over.
But here's the twist in the source material. They argue that shot wasn't just a game winner. It was like a paradigm shift.
Right. The argument is that specific shot fundamentally changed basketball.
Right.
It gave everyone, kids on playgrounds, coaches in the NBA, permission to think differently about shooting.
Suddenly, practicing from 35 feet wasn't crazy anymore. It was aspirational.
And coaches, they started redesigning offenses around that deep threat. That's the core point the source makes. Curry didn't just change how the game was played at the highest level like maybe Jordan did. He changed the game's actual identity, made deep shooting absolutely essential.
They talk about how he warped space, changed spacing, tempo, what a good shot even was.
And the defender psychology, causing sheer panic.
Totally. The source frames it as a full-blown revolution sparked by that one shot.
So think about it if you were watching back then. Did you notice basketball just feeling different around that time, that sudden focus on the three?
It's a compelling starting point, which leads into their next big argument, the unique kind of fear Curry creates.
Yeah, this is interesting. They contrast it with, say, the physical fear LeBron might instill or the mental game Jordan played. For Curry, the source uses the term existential dread.
Existential dread? Wow. Why that specific phrase?
Because, the argument goes, you can do everything right defensively against him and still lose. He breaks perfectly executed plans.
Right. They detail the counters, like you blitz him.
He finds Draymond, boom, 4-on-3.
You switch a big onto him?
He cooks him is the term they use. Takes him off the dribble.
Trap him.
He relocates in a split second, finds the open space.
And the big one, go under the screen.
You die. That's the source's blunt take. There's just no good answer.
And this fear, it's not just on the court, right? The source says it affects everything.
Exactly. Scouting reports, front office decisions, team building. It forces entire organizations to warp themselves around stopping one guy.
They mention specific examples like the Rockets, the Cavs, even the Celtics in 2022. Teams adjusting whole strategies just for Curry.
Yeah. So the source concludes he's not just a player you game plan for, he's a philosophical problem for the league.
That's a wild way to put it. It makes you ask, have you, listening right now, seen any other player cause that level of league-wide strategic panic? The source argues it's unique to Steph.
Okay, so let's talk numbers, because the source anticipates the stat junkies, as they put it.
Right. People looking at PER, win shares per 48, box plus minus. The usual stuff.
And the source acknowledges those stats, but argues Curry's real GOAT case lies in numbers you can't easily measure. Specifically, gravity.
Explain that. What does the source mean by gravity?
It's the way defenses are constantly pulled towards him, even when he doesn't have the ball. The space he creates just by being on the court, sometimes on the opposite side.
Off-ball impact.
Exactly. And traditional stats, the source claims, just don't capture how massive that effect is.
But they do use some impact metrics to try and show it, right?
Oh yeah. They point out the Warriors' offensive rating jumps, like plus 15 points per 100 possessions when he's playing. That's huge.
15 points.
And lineups with him, even without other stars, tend to crush opponents. Plus, they do highlight his insane efficiency stats.
Like what?
Leading all-time in true shooting percentage for high-volume scorers. Think about that, scoring more efficiently than anyone else while taking a ton of shots and being the most efficient 30-point scorer ever.
So combining that hidden gravity with just ridiculous traditional efficiency.
The source calls him the most mathematically devastating force the NBA has seen. It really challenges how we look at stats.
It does. So for you listening, how important are those less tangible things, like gravity, compared to the raw numbers? The source clearly thinks they're essential to Curry's case.
Okay, next point. The criticism you always hear. Steph's just a system player.
Yeah, that one comes up a lot. But the source has a really sharp counter.
What is it?
They just ask, who built the system? Yeah.
Good question.
The argument is Steve Kerr didn't just install some generic offense. Steph Curry is the offense. The whole Warriors dynasty, the source contends, was built around his unique skill set because literally nobody else plays like him.
You can't just plug someone else in.
Exactly. They talk about his relentless movement without the ball, his conditioning, his IQ, his unselfishness, all crucial.
And they make comparisons.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what if you put other stars in that system?
Yeah, they say Harden would make it collapse, Dame would make it shrink, Westbrook would just be chaos. It proves the system is Steph.
So the conclusion isn't that he's a system player, but that he creates this whole basketball ecosystem.
Totally flips the script. What do you think? Do you buy the source's argument that he built the system, not just benefited from it?
All right, let's get to the big one. The rings argument. MJ 6 rings, undefeated in the finals.
The trump card for many, but the source calls this the ring count fallacy.
How do they counter it?
Well, first they ask, if it's only about rings, why isn't Bill Russell the GOAT? 11 rings.
Fair point. Context matters.
Right, and they provide that context for Curry's 4 rings, leading the 73-9 team.
Greatest regular season ever.
Beating LeBron, taking down super teams, and, crucially, winning again in 2022 after KD left.
That 2022 title looms large in their argument.
Oh, absolutely. They argue he won that one with less. No other top 75 teammate besides Draymond, who's a defensive anchor, not the main offensive weapon, no dominant big.
Just Steph, Draymond, and really smart role players.
And they specifically highlight Game 4 in Boston in those finals. They call it a masterclass, the final brick in his GOAT case, proving he could lead a team all the way, silencing the doubts about needing KD.
So this forces you to weigh things differently. How much do you value rings versus, individual dominance or changing the fabric of the game? The source leans heavily towards the latter, especially with the context they add to Curry's wins.
Then the source shifts gears a bit, looking beyond just on-court stuff to influence.
Right. The argument is that kids today, they don't just want to be like Mike the same way, they want to shoot like Steph.
Yeah, they want the handle, the creativity, the joy he plays with.
The claim is, Curry didn't just dominate, he inspired. He made greatness look almost attainable. Not through genetic luck, like being 7 feet tall, but through work. The source has this quote, something like, kids watch him and think, maybe if I work like Steph, I can do it too.
That's powerful. They contrast it with MJ being worshipped, LeBron being admired.
But Curry is relatable. And that relatability, combined with his game-changing style, turned him into a global religion, according to the source.
A global religion. It's a different kind of factor for the GOAT debate. Does that kind of relatability and inspiration matter to you when you think about the greatest ever?
Okay, almost wrapping up here. The source talks about aging, how most stars decline.
But not Steph, according to them. He keeps evolving. Aging like fine wine is a phrase they use.
They point to his performance even now, over 35. Still lighting up defenses, dropping 30, leading teams.
And they say parts of his game have actually gotten better. His off-ball movement, sharper. His mid-range game, deeper. Decision-making, surgical.
How do they explain it?
Simple mantra, apparently. No ego, no drama, just work.
Huh. And the takeaway is...
he's not done. And that should terrify the league. It makes you think, what allows some players to age like this while others fade?
So, bring it all home. The source directly pits Curry against MJ and LeBron on those classic Joe traits.
Killer instinct. They say Steph has it, maybe just looks different. Versatility. They argue Steph's gravity is more valuable than LeBron's traditional versatility in the modern game.
Rings.
4. Earned, with context, especially that post-KD one. Cultural impact. They claim he owns this era.
And the final, really bold statement.
The NBA today, it's not LeBron's league anymore, it's Steph's. Their definition of GOAT isn't just stats, it's legacy, impact, how you change things, how you made people feel.
Wow. And the prediction.
Years from now, people will say Steph Curry defined this era of basketball. Not MJ, not LeBron, Steph.
So the source concludes, emphatically. Steph Curry proves why he's the Jude. The argument's over.
Yeah, basically summarizing their whole case. Changing the game, the fear factor, the hidden impact, building the system, winning against the odds, global icon status, defying age. It all adds up. in their view, to dudes.
And they give the listener things to do, right? Like homework.
Totally. They say, if you doubt it, go rewatch Game 4 versus Boston 22. Watch his whole 22 playoff run. Look at old games against those Rockets teams built to stop him. Just watch the game today and see his influence everywhere.
And of course, the call to action.
Yep. Drop your thoughts below. Smash that like if you found this compelling or agree. Subscribe if you think the debate's over.
And they leave us with that final question.
What more does he need to do? Because for some of us, he already did it. It leaves you hanging, doesn't it?
It really does. A lot to think about from diving into that source.
Definitely. Thanks for exploring that with us.